What was once the world's largest solar power plant of its kind may soon close, more than a decade before it was supposed to. Utility officials say cutting ties with the plant will actually result in cheaper energy prices for consumers.
I don't believe this. I don't believe you.
As the facility has also faced allegations of being responsible for thousands of wildlife deaths. Opened in 2014, the Ivanpah Solar Power Plant is located across 5 square miles in the Mojave Desert near the California-Nevada border. The $2.2 billion facility has struggled to compete with newer, cheaper solar technologies. The Ivanpah plant operates using concentrated solar power technology, in which thousands of mirrors focus sunlight onto towers to generate steam-powered electricity.
Look into this mirror, Charlie Brown.
But industry advancements in solar panels and battery storage have made other renewable energy sources more cost-effective. As a result, California's 2 largest power providers have indicated they want to terminate their contracts with the plant.
I am done! I'm done with you!
Southern California Edison is in talks for a potential buyout of its contract, while Pacific Gas and Electric has already announced an agreement with the facility's owners to end its contracts. If the contract termination with Pacific Gas and Electric is approved by regulators, 2 of the plant's 3 units would shut down in 2026, 13 years ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, conservationists have welcomed news of the Ivanpah plant's potential closure, calling it an environmental disaster.
It was a disaster. Disasters happen.
They say the facility has caused numerous bird deaths from its intense solar reflections, incinerating about 6,000 mid-air every year, and have also blamed the plant for destroying habitats of the threatened desert tortoise. If the agreements to end power contracts with Ivanpah are finalized, its owners have indicated the site may be repurposed for solar panels in the future.
6,000 birds? What? Terry, this is my backyard. These guys, and they said that they were doing it for California because of climate change, right? I mean, but they're killing my birds, and it's like right in my backyard. What is going on?
Oh, David, the best laid plans, best intentions. We're going to save the planet by putting up these massive $2 billion solar farm that is going to be obsolete 13 years in advance. Who would have thought? And all they had to do was put some oil wells in the ground, and they could have made up for all the energy and time and money and dead birds and dead turtles that they've killed in the process. These people... I don't know why they're in office. I don't know why they get to make decisions.
Well, I do go through there quite a bit. I have friends that live down in Mexico, so I do have to go through California. And California is a beautiful place. I mean, let's face it. But, man, they make so many bad decisions. And it is, Terry, I drive past this at least 5 or 6 times a year, and it is such an eyesore. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but I've seen it a lot in person, and it's blinding too when you're driving past it. You can't even the way that the sun hits that mirror. I never even thought about the birds, but they're killing our birds. These guys.
Yeah, they did the same thing. They did the same thing when they were when they had the first wind thing. The wind things, they would spin so fast they would kill thousands of birds. And by the way, I would see this site when I fly from the Bay Area on Southwest. When I lived in California many years ago, you would fly into Las Vegas. You would fly near that facility and see that blinding light. Yeah, they're going to shut it down. It's not cost efficient. Oh, but they may put another one in. This new one would be cost efficient, I guarantee, at least for a year or 2.
Well, here we are bringing you more of the craziness. And if you're thinking about leaving California, you know who to talk to. We do free consultations. We now started just offering free mover consultations so we can help you get not only you and your family, but you and your stuff out of California. So look us up. We'll talk to you soon.
Those Bay Area gas prices, you probably have noticed it at the pump, a sharp spike in prices just over the past few weeks.
Bay Area gas prices are up about 9% and climbing for the foreseeable future.
Since that's been your plan all along anyway.
KFV's Tom Bakar spending the day crunching the numbers, and he's live for us now in Alameda. Tom.
It happened super fast, and it really is painful, more than you might imagine. The smart money shops at Mash Gas in Orinda because a gallon of regular gas here is 63 cents below the Bay Area average.
I wait to come to this station specifically. So I could have filled up a few days ago somewhere else, but I'd rather do it here. They're also super nice here.
The cheap price make good relationship and trust between us and our customer. That's why they keep coming.
With an average Bay Area price of $5.12, why do people love Mash Gas and other discounters? Look over here. If you pay the credit price, you will save $8.68. If you pay the cash price, you will save a $10 bill.
That's real money. That's
Plays 7 major Bay Area regional markets, a gallon of regular grade is 52 cents higher than a year ago. Contrast that with Los Angeles at just $4.79 a gallon, 33 cents cheaper than the Bay Area, and get this, a penny less than Angelenos paid a year ago.
I guess, go to work. I guess, go back to work.
Last Friday, California's Division of Petroleum Market Oversight, an independent watchdog agency that oversees the state's petroleum market, issued an advisory over potential gas spikes following the early February fire at the Martinez refinery.
That's gonna leave a mark.
Which cut a lot of the supply and lowered competition, which jacked up prices.
You know, because they use it as an excuse. There's no reason to raise the price. It's just an excuse.
Corporate greed, lining their pockets, and not thinking of the everyday citizen that needs to gas up their car and get to places.
Nationwide, the average is $3.16 a gallon. That's 12 cents less than a year ago and $1.99 gallon less than the Bay Area.
Double screwed is just screwed, right?
Gas prices bring up the controversial Trump card.
All of the things that the president is talking about, energy, will lower the cost of everything. It'll be coming down everywhere, including here, hopefully.
Our president promised us that he will lower the prices and everything. Day one, he said, day one, we lower the prices in gas, groceries. So it's disappointed that it's not happening.
Did you ever think about going back to school?
Terry, I gotta tell you, $2 more a gallon in the Bay Area. I'm not surprised, honestly. I mean, it doesn't matter what we say, what we do, what politics say or do. They just don't want gas in California. I mean, let's face it. That's the thing. What's your take?
Well, think how great this planet would be if we didn't have fossil fuel. And now, granted, we wouldn't have a thing. We'd all be living in tents like the homeless people in the Bay Area and taking care of our business in a deep hole next to our tent. But that would be progress for the environmentalists. They want us to go back to the Stone Age, back to where we, just have nothing. And now, by the way, they all have their air conditioning, their gas is paid for by their nonprofits that are given to them from the state, and they've got all their stuff, but the rest of us. And also, let me also just say, did they not say this was coming? They said that gas was going to be on the average over $5 a gallon. Now, granted, they didn't know that it was going to be a refinery blowing up. But how about these people who say, oh, it's the corporate greed. They don't care about us. There is so much restrictions on these refiners, on these oil companies to do business in California. If they sneeze wrong, they get fined millions of dollars by these municipalities. I wouldn't blame any one of them. Say, you know what? You're right. This is wrong for California. Let's just all shut down every refinery and see what people do. They'll freak out. Oh, yeah, day one. We should have seen my local Publix here in Central Florida. They should have been scratching out all the prices and cutting them in half because we have a new president. It was Trump's fault from the first presidency. So it was his fault that 4 years later, prices have doubled in the 4 years of our most recent comatose president. But now that the Trump is back in office, day one, everything should have been cut in half, and it's his fault. Let's just face it. It's always his fault. The fact that he woke up today, his fault.
Property taxes. It's like you buy a home, you buy land, maybe you buy the home outright, but maybe you pay off a mortgage over 30 years. And then, okay, you've paid off the mortgage, you bought the land, you've been taxed many times. It's like, is it your property or not? Just for being on your property, you got to write a check to the government every year. So you're basically paying rent to the government to live on your own property. And our homestead exemption is not strong enough to help these folks because the property gets assessed so high. And that's the thing. If you buy a home for $300,000 and you know there's certain tax, well then what? 10 years later, they say it's worth $700,000. And so, and they say, you know, there's homestead stuff that helps protect you to a certain extent, but you're paying more. And a lot of people can't afford that.
If you ask me, that young fella's making a whole lot of sense.
So I think that that's a big issue. And I know we're going to be really looking at ways to bring people relief from that, because I think it's been really something that's pinching a lot of homeowners, particularly seniors on fixed income. But the reality is people have seen, and this is not the state, we don't control this, you know, we've not allowed any of that stuff to happen. We've been cutting taxes, but people have seen their property tax liability go up over these last years because the property is being assessed higher and higher. And the reality is you don't really know how much your home is worth until someone offers you money and is willing to pull the trigger on a sale. That's how a market works. You can say it's worth this much, but if no one's willing to come and offer you that much, then why should you pay taxes on that amount? And so there's a lot of things that need to be done with that.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
But as part of our DOGE initiative, our state task force will look into local government expenditures by utilizing publicly available county and municipal spending records so that we're able to provide this information in a digestible way for the taxpayers throughout the state of Florida.
That is genius.
Logical thinking? Logical thinking. I guess if you live on the East Coast in Florida on the ocean, that's one thing. But if you live in California, I don't know if there's any logic at all. But I loved what he said about the fact that the market is worth what the market is worth. I think in California, they just inflate everything so they can get more taxes out of you. But I like the way he's going with that. But why isn't California on the same page?
Well, because Newsom doesn't want his head to explode. Do you think if Newsom came out and said, you know what, California, I think we should get rid of these property taxes because these municipalities are likely wasting your money, his head would explode. And by the way, the unions would immediately call for a recall and get him out of office and put some other dictator, communist, small thinker, high tax person, no growth person into office, because there's no way that would ever happen in California, at least probably not in our lifetime. But how about that? How about living in a state where the governor says, you know what, the people generate the money in this state government and the municipalities. We're going to look at each one of these counties, see where they're wasting money, and see if we can't get them to lower their property taxes. How about eliminating their property taxes? I love the way he started talking about, hey, it's your property. Why should you have to rent your property, which is what you're doing? You're renting it because if you don't pay your rent, they take it away from you. I don't care if it's been in your family 100 years and paid off for 100 years. If you don't pay your property taxes, it's gone. You're out. And that's not what the founders of the country intended.
But the DOGE policies, that's really, they're just taking away jobs. They're taking away all this money and they're hurting society. Or is it, or maybe not. Maybe the DOGE is like trying to help people and they're trying to make our government more efficient. Now,
well, it's funny. It's kind of an oxymoron because we're saying these people are workers. Well, if you stay home and sit in your bubble bath while you're supposed to be working for the government and you're not working, that's not a worker. That's a laggard. That's a ne'er-do-well. That's someone who does not need my tax money that I spend, that I pay tens of thousands of dollars in taxes every year, or some people millions of dollars. Imagine paying millions of dollars a year in taxes and finding out that someone is complaining that they have to actually now be accountable. By the way, I saw a video recently of a gal, a government worker. She said that all of these government workers again, they have this device now that will move their mouse automatically, so they can go to the shopping mall, go to the Cheesecake Factory for 3 hours for happy hour and lunch and everything else, and it moves their mouse for them so their computer doesn't go to sleep, so that they can say they were working.
Well, I'm going to quote Terry on this one because Terry always says, if you're tired of California, welcome to America. There's so many, there's actual real thinking. People are actually making good change and they're working for citizens. And I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon, Terry. So if you like our videos, please subscribe, please share, send them to your friends. We love bringing you the news and it's not going to stop. it's definitely not going to stop.
Not going to stop.
Not going to stop. So we'll see very soon on the next craziness story that happens in California. Bye-bye.